can I start from like how I like get the idea of the paradigm spark first? Because that is related to what I want to do.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, paradigm spark. The project itself was like inspired by not specific thing, but it was kind of idea that I've been had for a long time. It wasn't like clear, but it was kind of foggy idea that I want to like change like this thing here and there, and I kind of group those up to one thing and project, and that for me that became a paradigm spark. And so so when I first start David Kim Coffee, my first own company, I had planned for like yearly plan that I want to do this things as a following up project under David Kim Coffee. But there were like few projects that I wanted to do as a David Kim Coffee, but I realized that David Kim Coffee itself has been as a roasting company for year and a half right now, and lots of parts that I built around David Kim Coffee as like visual and naming and lots of things surrounding it is so hard to move around because it is like so well built for specific model. So if I add something or if I put adding something on it or if I change something inside of David Company, then I feel like it's gonna be just losing the uniqueness of itself. So I was thinking like then how I do other projects, something more than just roasting coffee.
Right.
So that uh, gave me the idea of making an umbrella company that can hold different projects with its own identity. So that's how I started Paradigm Spark, and the first thing was Ultimate Coffee Making. Ultimate Coffee Making was first side project of Dave Kim Coffee with own label and name as a project. And once I start the Ultimate Coffee Making, the education of the class, online class project, then as soon as I start this project, I realized it could be better if I can make something above the company, something above than these two projects, and having other like multiple projects and build identity by yourselves. So this is how I started, and the motivation was I saw many coffee companies out there, and I feel really sad when one company was really good, and then after a while they changed their business model or they changed their target market or for many different reasons. Often it is the reason of business and money related, not their passion is changes. I'm pretty sure all the coffee like professionals who work in those company who change their business model to more like bigger targeting bigger market, I'm pretty sure they still have really good passion to make good coffee, but because they have to survive, maybe they change a few things. And when I see like those things outside, I feel really sad because I look up them, and when I was a young coffee professional, I kind of like admire them. What they are doing is so cool, and then they change their what they are doing because of not because of their passion, not because of their like dream is changing, but they had to change something that cool part because of the business related. So I seen like many of those concerts for many years. So I kind of think about like, then how can I maintaining that brand identity as when it started and keep improving that identity and what the project is doing, no matter how like their business is doing well, but is there any like way that have some assistance inside of the company, not just changing this identity? Yeah, I try to think about then when I have my own company, then how I can protect my idea inside of this one brand. So that becomes the idea of having the umbrella company that holding these projects. And in that way, even though some part of this project has some problem, then I don't have to change this project. I can make a different project that kind of support these projects to in business wise.
Right.
Yeah. And if I want to do something different concepts beside of the project that I already have, then I can easily just creating something from scratch and make a very different concept. But it is still under this umbrella company. So each project can have their own identity for a long time. So yeah, that was the idea of Paradigm Spark I started, and this kind of motivation that I put in.
Yeah, and I think adding on to that with Paradigm Spark, we're trying to create more opportunities for baristas to come join us and to, you know, Paradigm Spark, this for me and David both, we think that, you know, through this project, we want to keep our foundation and our mission while operating as a business, so that we could fund, that we could change the
payment system.
Yeah, so that we could create more value for baristas in the industry, right? So, yeah, I think that's
the first moment that I realized that barista wasn't guaranteed to become a lifetime job was 2015 when I worked at a cafe. Yeah, 2015 was my first time competing at the regional barista competition and national barista competition, and become one of the finalists. And then after competition, when I back to the cafe, I had this like idea, not the idea, but I just realized that at the competition, yes, we have like different concepts and we can expose ourselves and we can deliver our thoughts to the audience and judges. But at the cafe, it is so separated than our identity on the cafe, because at the cafe, especially busy cafe, we have to follow certain rules, and the cafe try to minimize personality to the drink because they want to serve consistent taste of coffee. So I realized I feel like then, okay, this barista is good barista and I'm also a good barista, but what's the difference between us? Like if I'm not here and someone else start as a barista, then is there any difference in this like system, this like cafe? My answer was no. So that was the first time I was thinking about barista in the real life is not a creative position, even no matter how they are creative behind the bar or outside of the cafe. But in the cafe, barista is, I feel like, is a part of the huge machine and it's very easy to replace. And actually it is happening because, like, of course, cafe want to serve consistent drink. And the best way is replace barista to an automated machine. And it was, I've been seeing like many new machines came out and cafes are using that, and obviously that makes they have less barista at the shift. And each barista is more normalized in a way. Like
Yeah.
even though like barista makes lots of human mistakes,
Yeah.
but still, like in the past, they can do something to change the profile, because not the machine barista have to dial the coffee and check the flavor all the time.
Yeah.
And even though there's a guideline, each barista have different taste and preference. So it was very small range, but we still have a room to express our like style.
Yeah.
But since there are lots of automated machines comes in, and they are learning about the machine more than learning about how to create different coffee flavor. So that trend was there, and then since like COVID happened, like barista literally lost their job. So it was accelerating that kind of like negative trend of barista as a lifetime job, and now it's actually a serious problem. So what we try to do with Paradigm Spark is build a good skill and learn coffee knowledge is baseline. And what I try to do at the barista Paradigm Spark is highlighting this barista's personality by creating the environment of the serving environment. Yeah. But that's kind of baseline of my thoughts on barista and what I want to do better on Paradigm Spark. More towards on highlighting barista and let people know barista is not something should be replaced by machine, but like it is the position that we have to maintaining for exciting future. Yeah,
there's so much potential out there, and like especially you, since you were, I think you worked as a barista for longer than I have. So you really have that experience to tie into our mission and to our values. So
so like my barista experience was more condensed on the earlier year, but I still continuing the barista role for many years, and I understand and I met many baristas during those like 6 years of time, and I understand what part they're struggling with, and I saw like lots of barista left coffee industry because of many different reasons, but that kind of like relationships and memories with my friends and coworkers like naturally just influenced me. Like I kind of have to do something with this problem, and that becomes Paradigm Spark.
Paradigm Spark,
Paradigm Spark is not just about that part, but definitely it is one huge motivation and one big part of what we are going to do in the future. Sure.
Definitely.
We've done like few cupping together and tasting together a few times, but I still have some curiosity. What kind of flavor do you like in food and beverage? Because that is one of my topic these days. And it was pretty recent that I realized I'm expecting something different in food and beverage. So I want to hear what your preference on those two.
I've been struggling with umami lately. I've been really trying to like it in coffee. I like it in food, of course, but in coffee, it's still something I'm kind of getting used to.
Umami in food. Yeah, definitely. Like umami in coffee. I personally don't prefer to drink if that isn't coffee. I'm curious about this part because there are lots of like conversations recently about like what is the good flavor, what is the high quality flavor, and why are those flavors are considered high quality flavors, even though I prefer different flavors in life. And my understanding on that the topic is like I prefer different flavors in different form, like food and beverage, and even between beverages, all beverages are served in different temperatures, right? So depends on the tradition, not about the tradition, but depends on the temperature of the beverage. I think I have different preference on the flavor. For example, if it's cold drink, then I prefer more sweeter side drinks, and if it's hot beverage, then I prefer slightly less sweetness. Yeah. And the flavors are like separate from the taste balance in flavor perspective too. Like if the cold beverage has berry like or citric acid, citrus flavors in the cold beverage, then I really like it. If those are in hot beverage, I still like it, but in a hot temperature beverage, I prefer more subtle, like stone fruit or stewed stone fruit, like that kind of more rounded flavor. So that topic of what is the good quality, high quality, and why those are high quality, just pushing me to think about like, why I'm considering these flavors are better than the others. And I kind of dig into myself why I'm doing it and how I'm actually defining in the real life. So I'm curious how other people doing it. Because definitely in each industry they have different preference, and they prefer certain flavor better than other flavors, and those preference on one industry to other industry is different. So I'm curious, like, is it really history based, or is it kind of one culture is more has longer time to establish that and then the other culture? I'm kind of curious like how all those are built, the quality preference. If we compare like artificial flavor to natural flavor, then it's very easy to find why I prefer natural flavor. But between natural flavors, why I'm preferring this, that is
hard.
Pretty hard question, and it requires like long time to answer those questions. I think like my standard for like good flavor and not preferred flavors are close to the fruit or how unique it is. Those two things are how I define the quality. As a just myself, like just personal preference. Of course there's like lots of different like preferences, but David, as a professional who tastes coffee and like score coffee and even have conversation with other coffee professionals, my standard is if this flavor is unique, then I normally give higher scores in quality. And even if even if this flavor is unique, if I don't like this flavor in coffee, in that case it's kind of hard to decide, but I normally just give it slight below average. Definitely there should be a different preference between coffee non-professionals and professionals. There's definitely different preference, but what I'm kind of like struggling these days are professionals are making this kind of like tiers of the flavor.
Yeah.
And I agree, and maybe because I'm so used to it. But at the same time, when I drink the coffees that perceived as lower quality, then I'm not trying to hate this flavor, but my body and my just brain doesn't want this. So it's kind of natural.
Yeah.
But is it because I'm so used to it, or actually I don't like it? That's kind of like confusing me. And then that kind of experience leads me to, okay, then how I can explain these flavors are better than other. Why is it? I try to explain, get the answer of why, so I can, when I training people, I can explain why. It's not because I don't like this flavor, or just relying on, coffee professionals tend to like these flavors. It's not an answer. So the second standard for me for those quality grading is how it close to the natural coffee fruit flavor, cherry flavor. So the coffee, the flavor comes from coffee fruit mostly, and of course variety and the growing soil impact to it. But I think especially for extended fermentation processed coffees are heavily absorbing the flavor of coffee cherry. So there is my like second standard to grading coffee. If coffee is give you this similar profile of coffee cherry, or coffee cherry is fruit and is like fruit. So if the coffee tastes like some fruit related flavor, then I normally give high score because it gives me the flavor of coffee fruit, the juice that it is absorbing. We should ask this question to other coffee baristas in the future.
It's definitely something I'm going to be thinking about now.
See, the conversation is a huge resource.
Wow.
Definitely that's kind of struggling moments. Like if I'm just drinking coffee as a customer at the cafe, if I don't like, if I never taste this flavor in the coffee, and if I don't like, then I just don't need to care about this coffee. But if you are tasting that flavor during working in the coffee, then it comes to me in different way, because I need to evaluate this flavor and I have no idea. It's like first time eating this.
It's nice if we have all these like different flavor notes for this coffee, but if the customer doesn't recognize that, it's almost like there's this disconnect between, the customer and the cafe. So, I mean, if there's a way for us to, remove that barrier, I think that would really help us.
I think that's a really good example of the customer. Like when customer doesn't like the flavor I like, then I think that's where barista do their best role in a cafe environment. Because as a the brand itself should have solid identity that express to the other people that we are doing this type of style, and these are what we are trying to improve on ourselves. And when the customer visit cafe, and if a customer doesn't like the flavor, then should I change my style of coffee? I think is definitely no, because as soon as I am swinging by customers, then customers will confuse, because the cafe itself, the brand itself is swinging and doesn't have solid identity. So my answer on that part is cafe have to follow their own preference and rule, and they have to serve the flavor they think the best and what the flavors that they prefer the most.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the customer doesn't like the taste of our coffee, then barista can do some role by not educating,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe explaining in a nicely.
Yeah.
We prefer this type of flavor, and we should explain why we are liking this flavor.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this customer will not understand, and they will find other place
Mm-hmm.
to look for. But I think that is fine. I think that is better than changing our style, because
Yeah.
if this customer, we can give them our insight and why
Mm-hmm.
we are doing this, and maybe this customer is not understand at that moment. Maybe a year later or a few years later, that this customer has different experiences in not just coffee, but
Yeah.
in different like bar, restaurant, or cafe,
Yeah.
different experiences. And then maybe
Yeah.
at one point, this customer will remind what we are explaining,
Yeah.
and maybe kind of change their preference in the long term.
Yeah.
The meaning of Paradigm Spark is spark idea to the next
Mm-hmm.
paradigm. So our name contains what we are going to do. Like, we are in this paradigm, and we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna spark the idea with coffee professionals, creators,
Mm-hmm.
to move our paradigm to the next paradigm. So that's
Yeah.
our, what should we call our like philosophy? It sounds like philosophy is too like
Yeah.
big
Like
and heavy. Maybe what we trying to, our goal.
our goal, yeah, our
Yeah.
mission.